People from all over the world flock to Las Vegas, approximately 3.5 million visitors every month. With just over 2 million residents, that means that any given day, Las Vegas is home to as many visitors as residents. And with so many great experiences available, it can be overwhelming to plan a visit. Vegas Unveiled was created to introduce to you entertainers, personalities, and business people who make Las Vegas the entertainment capital of the world, so you can learn about everything we have available and be ready for your next visit. Join us for your virtual Las Vegas adventure, Vegas Unveiled Live Edition.
Welcome to Vegas Unveiled, everyone. As I mentioned, my name is Jay Joseph with A Touch of Mystery and More Entertainment Group, and I'm your host for this week. And before we get to the fun, I'd like to share just a little bit of information about myself. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California, and I moved here via New York and Pennsylvania, where I was doing theater and tours and summer stock before I came out to the wonderful land of Las Vegas and started my career in production shows and national tours, and also my own company, A Touch of Mystery and More Entertainment Group, which does interactive entertainment, murder mysteries, scavenger hunts, flash mobs, corporate programs, team building activities, private parties, fundraisers, you name it, we do it. And you can check us out on the web at www.atouchofmysteryandmore. A little tidbit about me is that my very first performance was when I was 3 years old. I don't remember this story at all, but my mom reminded me of it, that we were at Santa Monica Pier, POP, and Pacific Ocean Park, and she went into a store and turned around and I was gone. She came outside and there I was with a crowd around me. I'm dancing the flamenco and I made $13 in tips. So my first paid gig, and I was a complete ham. All week long, I've had the pleasure of working with this amazing person. I'm so proud to call her my friend. She is my co-hostess with the mostest. We're back for our final segment of Vegas Unveiled this week. We've had a blast. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Jay. It has been so much fun this week. It has been incredible. I literally can't believe how much fun we've had.
I know, and it's
so
not
great.
so fast as well. My gosh. This week, we've introduced you to many performers and groups that work with A Touch of Mystery and More Entertainment Group. And on today's shows, you're going to get to meet two of our magicians and a mentalist, and also another show producer and star in her own right, the wonderful Joy DeMaine, who also has her own production company.
A mentalist? Like, is he going to read my mind? Because I feel very concerned about what's there. And, I mean, I have a mind like a steel trap, or maybe it's an Etch-a-Sketch. I'm not really ever sure, but if he reads my mind, I can't guarantee what he's going to say.
All right, well, we're going to have to keep an eye on that, Karen. But before we get started, we want to send out a big welcome to our audience around the country. And today we're giving out a big shout out to our YTA viewers watching on Tri-County Communications in Belhaven, North Carolina. Your North Carolina Panthers are working hard to prepare for your upcoming NFL season. Oh, I hope we have one. Let's hope that they can play a full season and give us all something to cheer about.
Oh, I hope so too, Jay. And in case you didn't already know, you can follow us on social media at Vegas Unveiled TV, and watch for the casting notices, friends, because you can actually be a part of our virtual studio audience for a future episode. How much fun would that be?
That would be amazing.
Amazing.
What do you say? What do you say, Karen? What do you think, Karen? Shall we get started?
Let's do it.
Let's bring on our first guest, and she is the amazing magician, the beautiful, extremely talented Joan Decor. So let's bring Joni in. Hi, Joni. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you for coming. How did you get into magic?
Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a ballerina. But my dad I lived in Hawaii, and my dad would go to the mainland for work. And he didn't know what to bring back a little girl, so he would just go to a magic shop and bring me back magic tricks. Plus, he loved to play cards. So at 6 years old, I was shuffling like nobody's business. And I learned how to add by learning blackjack.
That's a great way to learn.
It is. You want to win, you got to, but unfortunately, if I have to add up to more than 21, I'm just like, it's bust. I don't know.
What's the most unusual place that you've done a gig at?
Probably, and it's a reoccurring gig, and I've done it quite a bit, is when they have the Con Expo here, That's the construction expo. They do it every other year. And it's so big that they can't do it in a convention center. So I get booked to go to, I think the name of the company is Scuba, and they have their warehouse down in Henderson. And I'm doing card tricks amongst excavators and scissor lifts, and they hire me and a balloon guy. And the clients come in and they look at the machinery and they eat from the buffet, and we do a magic trick, and the balloon guy is building sculptures of the excavators and of the scissor lifts. So that probably ranks up there as weird. Although they did have me doing strolling magic during a Shaggy concert too. And it was a last minute thing. Like I was working the convention for Shop Talk. And then they decided they wanted to keep me later, but they were doing a Shaggy concert. I'm like, why? But I got to see Shaggy, so that was cool.
Well, that's very cool. You know, now that Vegas, you know, we've been talking with, on the other episodes, other performers, and the consensus is that Vegas may be going back to smaller shows and lounge acts. If you were going to put together a kind of a show now that things are scaling back a little bit, what would you want to do in your show? Because I know you sing, you dance, you act. What kind of a show would you create if you were to do a show in a smaller showroom here?
Well, here's the thing. So my first love is the stage, and I love doing stage magic. And I think in a way it's hopefully going to work in my favor, because the trend before COVID was really going towards, you know, close-up strolling magic, close-up strolling magic. And I've done it for years. I'm good at it. I can work a room. But my first love is on stage. And I don't do the big illusions. I don't have any big boxes on my show. My table takes up more room than my act. So for me, I would be doing my act. I would have to change out a few things if we're still going to be socially distancing. You know, card to mouth might be a little problematic, but it would be my dream show, because a cabaret style magic is my dream act. So
now I would love to hear who your mentors or your idols, who are they?
First of all, I would have to say a magician. He just passed away. His name is Johnny Thompson, and he's performed all over Vegas. You know, he worked Vegas when the mob ran Vegas, and he knew a guy, like. But then there's also Jeff McBride, who has been really, really helpful for me, and just magicians in general are a very giving group, and so we're always constantly helping each other for the most part.
Joan, I know you always come prepared to every event, just in case.
Okay.
So I would love for you to give us a little taste of what people could expect when they book you for their private parties or their corporate events.
Here's the thing about Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, we like to take big things and make them smaller, cheaper, and more accessible to the world. So, I mean, like, for example, we have the Eiffel Tower and Notre Dame, and we have our own Statue of Liberty, and we have our own Brooklyn Bridge. So I like to take great big illusions, make them smaller, make them cheaper, and more accessible to everyone. So there is an old trick, which everyone does, where a guy saws a lady in half just because. It's always the lady and never the guy. There is no real reason, so don't ask me why. So whenever I do this small bit of magic, I use a guy. So it isn't so tragic. Here I have two cards in hand. One is the box, the other the man. We'll fold the box in half like so. So then the man will have nowhere to go. Now the man might escape, or at least he might try, but please don't you worry, they so rarely die. We'll fold the guy in half, can't you tell? And then we'll put him under a spell. Now, the box in the guy. Now that would be odd, right? But the guy in the box, like a pea in a pod. Now some say it's the magic, some say it's the box, but really our guy is as sly as a fox. He can turn inside out. He can turn outside in, but never halfway. That's really a sin. For if I pinch here and I pinch over here, now don't move a muscle, you have nothing to fear. As I saw him right down through the middle, something strange happens. Now here is the riddle. He stays inside out, and he stays outside in, never to be together again.
I don't even okay, 10 more times and then, okay.
Right?
That was so cool.
Thank you so much.
Joan, okay, so you have also performed at the Magic Castle in Los Angeles, right? I would love to hear what you think what that's like and what it's like to perform there.
Oh my gosh, it's the greatest. One of my final gigs that got canceled was the Magic Castle. I've worked, they have a bunch of different rooms. So there's close-up, there's stage, there's parlor, which is like a smaller stage. There's bar magic. I've worked in 3 of the rooms, the close-up, the stage, and the parlor. And you walk in there, you walk up to the door, and the doormen say, "Welcome home."
Oh,
that's how they greet you. They say, "Welcome home."
I love that.
It's like you're home, and the bartenders and the waitresses have been there for years, and they remember you. Like, you come in and they're like, "Oh, you're back," because they have different performers every week. And when they remember you, it's like a big deal because they see a lot of people.
Wow.
And it's just, there's a lot of magicians that come, but then there's a lot of lay people too. The audiences are fantastic. They say you don't want to, if you break in something new at the Magic Castle, you won't actually know how well it does in the real world because the audiences are just so great, you know?
Oh, that's awesome.
Wonderful.
That sounds amazing.
Joan, we're running out of time, but thank you so much for joining us today. Stick around because we need to take a short break, but when we come back, we are going to be speaking with someone else you know from the Magic Castle, and that is the fantastic mentalist and magician, Paul Draper.
And we've also performed together at the Venetian as well.
Oh my God.
Fun.
All right, folks, don't go away. We'll be right back with Paul Draper. Welcome back to Vegas Unveiled. I'm Jay Joseph with A Touch of Mystery and More Entertainment Group, and today my co-host, the lovely Karen Michaels, and I are talking to some of our favorite A Touch of Mystery and More specialty acts and talent.
Friends, you are going to love our next guest. Paul Draper has performed around the world, and he's here to talk to us about what he does and some of his craziest performing experiences. Please welcome mentalist and magician, Paul Draper. Okay, Paul, but don't read my mind. Don't read my mind because it's a little cray-cray right now. I'm just saying.
Oh, I already know what you're thinking, but we won't let them know.
Hey, Paul, it's so good to see you. You have been around the world since I talked to you last.
All around the world. We don't own rights to it, so I can't sing anymore.
Right, and now we can't travel so that much. So it's a good thing you got the traveling out of your system for the moment. But I hear you're set to go back to London next year.
I've been traveling all over the place, and that's been a key goal for me in my whole life. Is I have a giant map of the world in my bedroom, and I look at it every day and I say, well, those are all the places I can go. And instead of choosing a particular industry to perform in, I choose an area in the world that I'd like to perform in, and then I call all of the universities, the top 100 institutions, businesses and government organizations and theaters in whatever that city is until I book 2 or 3 things there, and then I go there. And so that's been the last decade. My focus has been on booking myself on vacations.
Paul, I've always wanted to ask you, how did you know, or when did you know that you belonged to the world of magic and illusion?
I was an 8-year-old loser without any friends. And the local religious leader in the community I grew up in, Utah, told all the other little kids that they shouldn't be friends with anybody who didn't go to their particular institution.
Oh.
So I didn't get Valentine's cards or invited to birthday parties or anything. So I went to the library that was a block away from my house, and I started to go to the paranormal section, thinking that maybe I would learn spells to cast a spell on you and make people make people like me with love potion number 9. But instead, the librarian took pity on little 8-year-old me and took me over to the juvenile games section in, what is it, 798.6, 793.6, something. And that's where magic tricks are. Magic tricks aren't in theater or dance, they're in juvenile games. And I learned magic tricks, and suddenly me and the Muslim kid, his half Muslim family, half Christian family, who also wasn't invited to any parties, we started doing magic shows. And then instead of being invited to parties, we were paid to go to those parties and took the money and went to movies.
I know right before the shutdown, you had contacted me with some really exciting news that both kids and, or I should say kids and adult kids would love, because you were hired by Disneyland to be their resident mentalist.
Yes, when the shutdown happened, here's my journey just the last couple of days. I was in a sold-out theater in Idaho. Then I drove to Vegas for the construction show, which was using the 3 largest convention centers. And it was a 5-day show. 3 days in, they shut us down. Then drove to Disneyland, where I was supposed to do several days there. They can use me in the Golden Horseshoe, Club 33, or Downtown Disney. The park shut down, and they had me stand in front of the gates at Disneyland and said, there's still thousands of people in the hotels who can't go into Disney, so you perform in front of the gates when they show up. So for a few days, I was literally the magic of Disney.
Wow.
Wow.
And then, and so day 1, I gathered crowds of 250 people. Day 2, the governor said I could only gather crowds of 50 or less. So when more than 50 gathered, had to disband them. Then they said 10 or less, and then the next day Disney said go home.
So you're kind of like the Tony Danza of magic in that respect, because God loved Tony. It's like any show he goes into, it winds up closing. And
Yes.
I love Tony Danza, and I love you, and I know that was something that they're so lucky to have had you, to be there, to be the representative for them, because you put your heart and soul into everything that you do.
It's so true. Now, didn't you work at the Venetian for a while as a magician and mentalist?
I did. Both Joan Decor and I were both magicians there. And that was wonderful. We shared that space. When I came in, she was the magician and the head magician for the Artist del Arte program. Then I came in originally to do magic for Carnivale, is why I was originally brought in. And then I was also a singer, and I'd come in with the trio in the evening and perform magic, and then perform magic in the suites and also on the floor every year for about 7 years.
Paul, you do it all, not only as a fantastic singer and actor, because I've worked with you in those capacities. You worked with our mystery company. You were one of our very first performers in Vegas, in the Vegas troupe, and we miss you.
Oh.
We got to get you in the shows again. We're doing the live stream once, so we've got to get you into that. But
I can appear anywhere from right here.
And that's the greatest thing about it, is because now we have cast members that have moved out, like Carrie Saludos, Langdon James, Danny Tribbett. They're all on the East Coast, and we bring them in for the shows as well. We got to get Joan into the shows. We got to bring you into the shows as well. Of all of the things that you've done, is there one standout of, whether it be mentalist, magician, murder mystery, singing, is there one thing that has been like the one standout of your career so far? I
am so variety driven. That is core to my personality. So like you said, I moved to Las Vegas to teach at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and then left that to be a musical theater actor, then did murder mysteries and magic, and then mentalism. Now I work in healthcare, teaching people about culture within healthcare, doing the Zoom shows. Tonight I just taught 35 magicians from all over the world how to create their own Zoom shows.
Wow.
And I have another set of classes coming up in 2 weeks. I'm working with a Broadway music director and Broadway conductor to work on a new project. So I've done television. The key for me, it's a disturbing thing. I am so variety driven. I'd be so much more successful if I would choose an industry and just conquer it. But I want to be in a different headspace, in a different city, in a different idea. Last week, I did my first live show since the shutdown.
Wow.
It was the 100th anniversary of the Rich County Fair, and it was the 150th anniversary of Randolph City, where it was held, and it was the fair where my grandmother was rodeo queen when she was a little girl, and she would have been 100 years old this year.
Oh,
And so they hired me to come in and headline. So it was not the show I wanted to do. I had them put me on a flatbed truck, kicked off the hay to let me stand on the flatbed, and the sound was coming from behind me for the rodeo, right? And the bleachers were filled. They told me they were going to wear masks and socially distant, and luckily only 8 people in the entire county have had COVID. None have died and none have been hospitalized. But I didn't invite anyone on stage. We stayed socially distanced. I did the show. I had hundreds of people show up, and it was something else. But for the rest of the year, I plan to be here.
It's always fascinated me. I would love to experience some of your beautiful gift. So would you mind sharing something with us now?
We'll do some magic. So
Okay.
I want you to help me. Will you help me?
I will.
I have 2 cards.
Okay.
2 cards, and one says yes, and one says Oz. What's it? One says on, no. Okay, yes and no. I'm going to look at you. You and I, have we ever met in person? Have we spent any time?
No, and it's,
Oh.
dang it, we will though soon.
Okay, this is my prediction right here.
Okay.
If you were to eat a hot dog, now I want to say a hot dog has bread and meat and vegetables. If you were to eat a hot dog, would you consider it a sandwich? Yes or no?
No.
I knew that. Here, let's go again. Let's do it again. I'll mix them up, up, down, round, just like this. Would you ever consider tattooing the name of a loved one onto your body?
Yes.
Do you have someone tattooed there now?
No.
No, but you would consider it? You would consider?
Yes.
Okay, I knew that.
Oh.
Great job. Okay, let's do one more.
Stop it.
I have a question. Stop it, you're getting into my head. That's what they hire me to do. Okay, right now, when you go out in public, are you the kind of person who's wearing a mask in public?
Yes.
Yes, thank you for doing that. Thank you. Yes is the answer. Good job. Thank you. Okay, now I know you well enough. We know each other well enough that I think we can play nice.
Okay.
Can you see the front of my table right here?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a little cup. Right
Okay.
there. And inside that little cup is a little wooden ball. There's a little wooden ball right there. See the little wooden ball? Okay, I'll take the little wooden ball out right there. Now this is your job. I have the little ball. It goes into my pocket. Is the wooden ball under the cup or is it in my pocket?
It's in your pocket.
It's in my pocket. Good. See, you're a realist. You know the truth. It's right there in my pocket. There it is, right there. Okay. So now we're going to make the magic happen. I drop the little ball in there. I take the little ball out. I put it in my pocket. It is clearly in my pocket. But if you want it to be under the cup, wiggle your fingers at the cup. Wiggle your fingers. 3, 2, 1. There it is, right there under the cup. Here, let's try it again. I take the little red ball. You see the cup? You see the little red ball. Drop the little ball in the cup. Take the little ball out of the cup. Put it in my pocket. It's right here. I'll make it even more visual. Put it into my hand right there. Wiggle your fingers at my hand. Gone. Now, it's not under the cup yet. It's not there. Wiggle your fingers at the cup. 3, 2, 1.
You better stop it. Oh
No,
my.
well, that's what people pay me to do. I gotta do it. Okay, so that's a little bit of magic.
Oh my
Okay, I'm in, all in. That was stunning. Thank you.
Paul, you are amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out and be with us. Stick around, though. We need to take a break right now so that everyone can get a little bit more snacks and maybe a little bit more libation. So stick around, because when we come back, we are going to be speaking with one of my greatest friends, very talented lady. She is the one, the only Joy Domain with Jade Pro Productions, and she's going to be coming in talking to us. So stick around, don't go anywhere. We'll see you in just a moment. Welcome back to Vegas Unveiled. I'm Jay Joseph with a touch of mystery and more entertainment group, your host for Performers and Theater Week. And we're talking with some of Vegas's best, which leads us to our next guest, who I've had the pleasure of performing with and collaborating with on many shows over the years. She is currently performing in our mysteries, and she is one of Las Vegas's greatest producers of musical theater. She's a singer, she's a dancer, she's a writer, she's a producer. Please welcome to the show the fabulous Joy Domain. Hi,
Hello.
Joy.
Hi.
Hi.
That was a great introduction.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. It's so good to see you. And is that your garden behind us, behind you?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, darn it. Joy's got the best garden. If anybody's ever looking for food, some greens and radishes, my favorite radishes and tomatoes and all, she's got the greatest garden.
Right. And right now I've got lots of basil, and I have curry, and I have some different herbs and not a lot of other things, but the planting season is coming soon. And if you want, just let me know, because I share.
So Joy, we have viewers from all over the nation watching tonight, and you've had quite the career, and I would love for you to share. How did you get started?
I was 2.5 years old, and I was fat, and my mother gave me ballet lessons because she didn't want me to be clumsy like she was. And then I, started dancing, and I was always the cute, chubby one. And that's how I got started. And then, let's see here. I always loved to sing, and I learned how to play the guitar so that I could accompany myself, and then I started doing that. And I've always been interested in performing, so that's sort of how I got some of my chops to begin with. And then I always wanted to create things that my friends could do and that I could do, so that's why I started my theater company.
I know something about you that makes me feel really jealous, and so I shouldn't say that, but I'll probably have to go to church on Sunday for thinking that way. But you got to live and perform in Hawaii, and I would like to know all about that.
I have had 2 husbands, and my first one, my husband and I were always good friends with, and his mother told me that I should go and audition for a show that they were having there, and he got so upset because he thought that a wife should stay home and cook and be there all the time, and so he was not happy with this at all. But I did audition for whatever the show was. It was for a community theater, and I got the part, and then I started despite the fact that he wasn't thrilled with that. And then I started just getting asked to do other things. And then I had written some music, and I went to a recording studio, and I said, I need someone to record this music for me, to play the piano and to arrange it. And they said, do you want the best? And I said, if I can afford him. And so I married him instead. And he was an amazing keyboard player and arranger, and he played for many people, celebrities around the world. And he also was the #1 piano player when people would come to visit Hawaii who they wanted to play. So I started working with him, which was a pleasure, of course. And then I didn't marry him right away, but I got to then sing. He worked with he worked with all kinds of musicians there. And then I started getting calls to go and sing. And I sang jingles and for commercials. And I sang one day, I used to get called up when people would be singing and he would play and somebody said, come on up and sing. So I got to do that. And then at one point, one of the girls who was headlining at the Oahu Bar at the Sheraton Hotel, she got sick. And so I got to come in and take her place, which was fun. And then I just got to do lots of things. Music in Hawaii is interesting because there's a ton of musicians and some people manage them and then they send them out on the different gigs that there are. And I mean, send them out. We were sent to all different islands. And so that was really neat. And it wasn't really until we got here in Las Vegas that I got to have my husband play for me all the time because we were here. And he originally, or not originally, but he toured the country in the 70s and he actually played at the whatever the Stratosphere used to be. I don't remember.
Vegas World?
Before that even. But I've got a photo somewhere and it says the Pat DeMaine Orchestra right under prime rib 595.
Oh my gosh.
And so, so it was through him and his connections, I guess, that got me to be able to do a lot of singing in Hawaii. Despite my first husband.
Despite your first husband, which is a good thing that he's the ex-husband because I cannot imagine you barefoot and pregnant and just cooking.
No.
But you've had a chance to play some really amazing roles, and as I know you, and the audience doesn't know you yet, but there's such perfect roles for you. Fanny Brice, Dolly Levi. Those are amazing roles. But what were some of your favorite roles? And also, I want to know a bucket list role.
I always, when I was growing up, wanted to be Fanny Brice because one day my dad brought home the Funny Girl record and I just fell in love with that. So I really connected with her and I'm lucky to be able to have done her. And other shows, I always loved doing every show that I ever did. I have to say that. I got to play Mame in Mame. I got to play in Adelaide. I got to be Adelaide in Guys and Dolls. And there's a great part in A New Brain that I got to play Mimi Schwinn, I think her name is. I sang a great song. She was very angry at her son because he was sick and he was not fighting. And the song that she sang was called Throw It Out, and she was throwing out all of his stuff. And it was just an interesting, angry kind of song to sing. And that was just precious. And a bucket list show, I really, really would love to play Mama Rose in Gypsy.
Yes.
And I keep on trying to do it, and maybe someday I will be able to, but I really, really want to play that part.
Oh, I think that would be so good. Incredible. But now I would like to hear, please, about your production company, Jake Pro.
The first thing that we ever produced was a show from a company that came from the East Coast, and they wanted to do something, and somehow somebody connected them to us, and so I produced that show for them, and then afterwards, I've got my cheat sheet here. Let's see here. We did The World Goes Round, which is an amazing Candor and Ebb musical, and it was directed by Phil Randall, who probably, I think he still lives here, but he used to be stage manager for different shows here. And at one point, I also taught theater, and at one point I was doing stuff at the school, and I called UNLV to see if they had any student who might be interested in choreographing for me. And I was talking to the head of the dance department, Louis Kavoris, and he said, well, I would like to do that. So I got to meet that amazing man, and he came in and started choreographing shows. And then I said, what show would you like to do? What do you want to do? And he said he always wanted to play Snoopy, and you're a good man, Charlie Brown. So I said, okay, let's do it. So we did it. And he was just so precious. And occasionally I'm in shows I produce, not always, but I was Lucy, which was hysterical. And then I produced a bunch of different shows. I produced a dance type show for Lewis and other people who he was dancing with, and there were other singers in town, and I would put together a show for them or arrange for the place and, you know, take care of all of that stuff. There was a man here by the name of Jim Hodge who sang on the Strip, and so I did a show for him, and let's see, then I did Funny Girl, and then a man called me who had a scary play called The Haunted Theater, and he was going to be doing it for the whole month of October in at the Nevada Power Place. And he asked me if I would put that show together, and we did it several times a night. And so we did that, and that was really fun and crazy. Is this too much information?
It is great. We are running a little bit.
Yes, right. So tell me what stuff.
So I wanted to ask you this question. I know that you also were a teacher here, and you taught
Yes.
school and drama and theater. And what pearls of wisdom would you share to students now or anybody starting out in the business with all of your experience? What pearls of wisdom would you give?
I always told my students a few things. One of them was that they could go anywhere in the world and audition for a show, whether it was a community theater or a professional show, and they would find people that were like them so that they wouldn't feel that they were alone. And so that's, I guess, a pearl of wisdom. And I always felt like I thought it was important when people would perform to not have such an overblown ego that it would get in the way of their relationships with other people and with their performing. So I always tried to make sure that my students would perform because they loved it. And that to me was very, very important. And then the other little glimmer that I gave to some of my students, and a lot of them listened to me, was don't run away right after high school and get married because you're going to change. And so when you teach theater, you get closer to students than you would teaching, I don't know, biology or something. So I got, and I'm still Facebook friends and otherwise with some of my most wonderful, amazing students, and I love them.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to invite all of our guests into a very fun, my favorite part of the show, trivia game.
Okay.
So before we go, here's the first question, guys. And this goes for our studio audience as well. What singer's residency is considered to be the most successful of all time? That answer's coming up after the break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Unveiled Performers and Theater Week. Now, before we went to the break, I asked this question, this great little trivia question, and we're all sitting and wondering whether or not we know the answer. So here we go. What singer's residency is considered to be the most successful of all time? Any ideas?
Elvis.
Ah, okay, so you think...
Oh!
Okay, Joan, who do you think it is?
That was my guess too. It was a toss-up though. It was between Elvis and Celine Dion.
Okay, and Joy, who do you think?
I was thinking of Celine Dion.
And that's exactly who it is.
Yep.
Oh!
A New Day is considered the most successful residency in Las Vegas, having performed 717 shows to
Wow.
3 million people, grossing over $385 million. Oh my Santa. All right, so here we go, folks. Here's our trivia. Let's see who can guess these. And here's the first one. What Las Vegas magician started his career on stage at the age of 15? Is it 1, Teller, 2, Matt Franco, or 3, David Copperfield?
I'm gonna go with Mac Franco.
And
I
you would
think
be
Matt
right.
Franco too. Yeah.
Oh,
It's Matt
tell
Franco.
me again.
What magician is recognized as the first magician to perform in Las Vegas in 1947? Jack Codell, Harry Blackstone, or James Randi?
Jack Codell claims it in his biography, but I'm not sure if it's him or there are other people who aren't listed. It could have been.
Okay, Joan, who do you think?
I was thinking it was Blackstone.
And Joy?
Yes, I would go with Blackstone.
And it's Jack Codell.
Jack Codell.
All right.
He was married to the London Palladium opera singer Mary Codell, who's still alive, and he was the inventor of producing parakeets.
Oh, you're kidding.
Wow.
He had a cat statue, a giant cat statue, and he would produce parakeets and put them on the cat statue.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, Joan, I expect you to get this next one right. Which female magician was the first to perform in Las Vegas? Is it Dorothy Dietrich, Melinda Sachs, or Faye Presto? Okay.
I'm gonna go with Dorothy.
Okay, Joy, who do you think?
I don't know any of these people's names.
Okay. No,
I didn't know I had to study tonight.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Paul, who do you think?
Faye Presto's in the UK, and I don't think she was it. Melinda, like we said, Melinda is David Sachs's sister, and she was a dancer first, but that was like in the late 90s. Dietrich, I don't remember her performing here, so I'm going to say Melinda, First Lady of
It is Melinda. It's Melinda Sachs. All right, which magician ended his Las Vegas show in 2010 after more than 15,000 shows, performing for over 5 million people? Is it Doug Henning, Darren Brown, or Lance Burton? Oh, no. Yes, Lance Burton. Okay.
I was there at the last show, too. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Which magic team was told magic will never work in Vegas? Is it Siegfried and Roy, Penn and Teller, or Young and Strange?
Siegfried and Roy.
You got it.
I agree. Siegfried and Roy, yes.
Okay.
At the Frontier, in fact.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Which Las Vegas headliner magician won America's Got Talent 2 times and performed on Penn and Teller's Fool Us? Is it Shin Lim, David Blaine, or Mac King?
I say Shin.
Yeah, I think it's Shim.
It is
I mean,
Shin.
I know Matt King did a guest appearance on Fool Us.
Yeah,
Okay.
Shin Lim won on America's Got Talent, and then he won on their when they brought all the finalists back or all the winners back, and he won the big one. What magician opened the world's most prestigious magic school in Las Vegas? David Copperfield, Lance Burton, or Jeff McBride?
Bum, bum,
Jeff
bum,
McBride.
You got it. Jeff McBride.
I lecture at his school all the time. So.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Which magician is considered the wealthiest magician with a net worth approaching $1 billion? David Blaine, Chris Angel, or David Copperfield?
Shares a name with the comic book magazine, David Copperfield.
David Copperfield.
There you go. And our final question, which magician dubs himself the world's fastest magician? Matt Franco, Piff the Magic Dragon, or Hans Kluck?
We'll say Matt Franco
That's
because
Matt Franco then.
And you would be absolutely right. It is none other than Matt Franco. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on today. We've had the best time with you. Joan, thanks for coming. The wonderful Joan Decor, Paul Draper, and of course, the lovely and fantastic Joy Domain. We've had so much fun with you. Thank you for joining us for our studio audience for Vegas Unveiled. And also, you can follow us on social media at Vegas Unveiled TV. I'm Jay Joseph. Karen Michaels, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you on a future show.